We've been a band for about a year and a half, 2 years, and we've just known each other for a while. For the last album, I think we were just trying to do many, many highs and lows, many cutouts, many full force back ends, and I think we're still figuring it out. We're sort of inching our way towards, the next batch of songs, which I think are coming out better than the last. So that's about as good as we can do.
My name is Marc Goodman. I'm a recording engineer and studio owner here at Strange Weather in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. I'd worked at a couple of larger studios when I was living in New York in the early 2000s. Realized pretty quickly that the big studio world wasn't for me. I avoided that and was kind of recording my own band and friends' bands in practice spaces, just trying to find the cheapest way to do it for a couple of years. And I ended up moving back to Philadelphia where I grew up. And after about a year and a half there, I realized that most of the bands I wanted to work with were back in New York. So I came up and started working here again. It slowly grew over a decade after that.
Thus far, Kiroshi's brought in sketches of tunes, and then we take them and we sort of tear them apart. He's a good sport about it. He writes great songs from the get-go, but it's mostly tearing it apart, putting pieces, seeing how the puzzle will fit together.
Pretty much doing the studio what we do live, and then it gets pulled apart more in the mixing process, I think. When we recorded our EP, we went in, we played everything in the studio the same way we play it live, recorded all the instruments live, and then the producer and the mixing engineer cut it up and make it sound the way it does.
It was pretty stripped down. Just used a mono overhead, which is a ribbon Coles 4038. One mic on the kick, 2 on the snare, totally standard stuff, SM57s. It was a Neumann FET 47 on the kick. Guitar amps, one of them was another Coles 4038 ribbon, one of them was just an SM57. The bass was through our B15 bass amp, which is a fantastic amp, and had an AKG D20 on it. And the vocals were all just Shure Dynamics. One of them was an SM7B, the others were 57s. In here, I try to track it as finished as possible. It makes it easier for me in the long run, it sounds better for the musicians while they're playing, and a lot of engineers who come in or bands who come in and they track and then are going to work somewhere else, I'm sure really appreciate that when they open the session and hit play, it sounds like a finished mix. They don't have to go in and fuss with things just to be able to hear the guitar. Whenever somebody wants to book here, the first thing I say to them is you should come in and sit down and talk, and we'll play you some stuff we've done. You can play us some of your music, and we can get a feel for each other. Because if the feel isn't right, we're in New York. There are 100 studios in Williamsburg alone, I bet. I would never want someone to come work here if this wasn't the right place for them.
The moments that you have that are similar to when you were 13 years old and you heard your first Zeppelin album or something like that, or you heard your first click moment where you realized that music was something special. It's the only reason that I keep doing it, because other than that, at this point in the game, the payoff is not, it wouldn't seem worth it to somebody on the outside, but I don't know, I still have moments like that keep me going. We are Rocket and the Ghost.